Yo, good morning, good morning. Salute, salute, Stray Godzilla, Anarchy Television. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to my freedom marchers, freedom family, freedom lovers, and freedom fighters. Snapzilla Gorillas in the building. Please hit the like button when y'all step up into place. Support the channel. You know what I'm saying? Double tap that screen as we get into this. Marcy T was in the building as well with a right on point comment. This most definitely is a clown show under the big top. It's a clown show under the big top, y'all. And we have to be very careful and use our discernment. Right? We have to use discernment because the major players, we have to remember who the major players are and how they started out. Yes, we have to remember that. Right? Because Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, they are major players. Right? They are major players. And how they started out and how their career paths have gone and where they ended up today was thanks and mostly to their statist beliefs, right? These people are statists, right? They were backed. They were backed and funded by the same people that backed and funded Charlie Kirk, that backs and funds the media, all mainstream media, CNN, Fox, right? These people run in the same circles and they all uphold the same, they uphold the same goddamn agenda. Now, that doesn't mean that they weren't, they haven't had an epiphany. That doesn't mean that they can't change their mind or change things around. It doesn't mean that they aren't targets. It just means we have to be careful with how much faith and belief we place into these people, even if they are turning against their masters, right? Even if they're turning against the people that pull the strings, we have to remember that the strings were pulled to begin with, right? Now, Candace Owens came out. She showed some text messages that Charlie Kirk had been involved in that showed that he was pulling support, that he said he had no choice but to pull his support from the pro-Israel cause. His so-called best friend and spokesperson for Turning Point USA, Andrew Covid, basically verified that those were real text messages, right? So yes, does that go a long way to lend to the credibility of a Candace Owens? Sure, but we still don't know how much trust we should place in Candace Owens, right? In that same video where she is showing these text messages, where she revealed that Charlie Kirk was indeed talking about pulling support from Israel, she said, well, actually, I think it's the video after that where she's talking about Andrew Covid backing up what she said. She talks about how she was told that her and Tucker Carlson might be next and they need to be careful. Well, we know that both Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens were very outspoken in their criticism of Israel and basically acknowledging the genocide that Israel is committing in Gaza against the Palestinian people, right? They have been very vocal about it, which has created problems, of course, for Israel. And Charlie Kirk getting on that side of the fence where it's like, okay, Israel is doing the most. That created even more problems for Israel. And so, in my mind, based on the information we have, it really does lend to the idea that Israel might have something to do with Charlie Kirk being taken out. So does it make sense for Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson to be potential next victims? Yes. But we have to consider as well that this just whole thing might be a psyop. Controlled opposition, right? Controlled opposition. Wow. Yo, so anyway, y'all, like I was saying, should we trust Candace Owens because she showed us a single receipt? Should we trust her? Did that receipt turn out to be valid and verified? As far as we know, yes. But that doesn't mean that everything that she's being told is true either, right? Because she told us that Charlie Kirk told at least 3 people that she knows of that he thought they were going to kill him the day before he died. And that was one day after those text messages were sent. So, do I believe that might have happened? Sure. Charlie Kirk might have been threatened. You know who else was threatened? Who else thought they were going to die very, very soon? Because they were being very outspoken. They were going against what their handlers wanted them to go with. They were going against it. Malcolm X. Malcolm essentially knew he was going to get assassinated. Essentially knew that he was going to get assassinated. JFK knew he was going to get assassinated. These people knew. If these people had a great amount of influence on the people, even the people that were not supposed to be influenced by them. When you start to influence both sides and point to the enemy, point to the real enemy, they will take your ass out. Because see, this is what Candace Owens it appears Candace Owens is on that track, because she stopped focusing on, in the last 2 years, left versus right. She started focusing on the Israeli genocide and how our government and our so-called government leaders are backing the genocide. They're funding the genocide. They are protecting Israel from repercussions that they should face because of the genocide. When you start to do that, it creates real problems for these people. Now, did somebody tell Candace Owens that she was next and Tucker Carlson was next? I think I can get behind that. I can probably believe that, if Candace Owens is really about that life. She has been steadfast against the Israeli genocide. She hasn't wavered. Once she had this idea in her head that, yo, Israel's committing genocide, she stayed on that path. Just like Tucker Carlson. They became hyper-focused on the Israeli genocide, right? Salute to Marcy T, she's back. So we are in the position as the people. We the people are in the position where we have to choose whether or not we want to believe Candace Owens or whether or not it matters. That's what we really should focus on. Does it matter if Candace Owens is telling the truth 100% every time she says something? Does it matter? No, it doesn't. It does not matter, because she gave us enough information to know that, guess what? The official FBI narrative behind why Charlie Kirk was murdered is bullshit, right? We know that. We knew that before Candace Owens dropped those text messages. So we know that. Okay, well, if that's bullshit, then what is real? What is real? You get that play on words? What is real? Yeah. The bottom line is, what Candace Owens is pointing to is government corruption. Government corruption on the behalf of Israel. Government corruption on the behalf of the corporations and the lobbyists. These are real things, right? Our government is backing a corrupt government over there in Israel. Our own government is in and of itself corrupt. That's really what I care about. Did they kill Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk decided to pull the wool from off his eyes? Probably. More than likely, yes. Is Candace Owens under threat? Is Tucker Carlson's life at risk? Probably. But it doesn't matter, right? Because what I care about is the fact that people are waking up all over the world, all over this country. People are understanding that the government is not acting on their behalf. The government is acting on the behalf of the Israeli government. The government is acting on the behalf of the Zionist bankers, the Zionist corporations that fund them, that give them all this, that lobby. This is what we are realizing. Meanwhile, what also do you have? We also have to shine a light on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why should we shine a light on Marjorie Taylor Greene? Because she is going against the Republican establishment party line, and she is speaking out against the shutdown. She is blaming Republicans for the shutdown. She is calling for better health care stuff. She is going against her establishment Republicans. She's going against it, right? She is essentially doing what the squad was supposed to do. You know, the squad, AOC and them, was supposed to do with the Democratic Party. But what did they do? They folded to Nancy Pelosi. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not doing that. Right? Now, that also might be a psyop. She might be playing controlled opposition as well. She is opposing her own party. She is opposing her own party, and she's going against Donald Trump, all this other shit. What we need to focus on, whether this is part of whether this is a kabuki theater or not, whether she is play acting, we have to realize what she's saying is the truth, right? What she's pointing out is that the government is not acting on the behalf of the people. They are not looking out for the people. She said that she's listening to her own constituents. She's trying to represent her own constituents in her district, and she's trying to act on their behalf. She said that the Congress is a separate branch of government from the president, and that she's not beholden to the president. She shouldn't be beholden to her party members, right? In terms of the politicians. No, she's talking about how she is beholden to her constituents. She's trying to represent her constituents within government, and that's why she ran in the first place. Now, is Marjorie Taylor Greene full of shit or not? Because at the end of the day, she is part of the establishment. It doesn't matter, because she's telling the truth. She's speaking facts, right? They have to show some resistance. They have to show it, right? Right? They have to present you with this idea that there are people in government that's actually fighting for you. So this convinces you, well, we got to keep putting faith in the government. One day we'll get the right amount of people in there. We'll get the people in there that really want to represent us. So we'll still keep voting. We'll still participate. We'll still do these different things. Y'all need to hit the like button, y'all. Let's hit the like button. All we got to do is double tap the screen. If you can write in the chat, y'all can just double tap the screen. That's all you got to do, right? Simple as a pimple. And it doesn't cost no money. Yeah. But I'm going to take all these things. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, all this drama, right? Whether real or whether it's all a psyop, I'm going to take the good bits that I want to focus on, and I'm going to act on that. I'm going to encourage everyone else to do the same. Doesn't matter if Marjorie Taylor Greene is playing the game. It doesn't matter if Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson are controlled opposition. No, we ignore that. The fact of the matter is, they are spitting truths, and we should just take the truth and act on that, right? We act on the truth. Okay, so what is the truth behind what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying? She's saying that our representatives, the other Republicans, the Speaker and the leader of the Senate, well, they're not acting on the people's behalf. They're acting on the behalf of the corporations and the bankers and the Israel and all these different things. And she's just one woman. What does that tell you? Every time you try to get the right person in there, you're not going to get it done, because everybody else, or most of the other people, the one or two individuals in Congress that are not taking money from any lobbyist, they're not enough. There's not enough of them. That's what we should focus on. Okay, well, if there's not enough, how can we make it enough? Well, I explained last weekend. In order to make drastic changes, to get the right amount of people in there as quickly as possible, you have to change and amend the Constitution. And in order to amend the Constitution, you have to convince 2/3 of the states or 2/3 of the legislation to just propose that. And then when to ratify it, you have to get 3/4 of the states or 3/4 of the legislature to agree to the proposal and make it ratified. Is that likely to happen? Absolutely not. So where do you go from there? You start to withdraw. More and more people withdraw from the system. You don't have to be violent. Don't stream and drive. Then stop texting, trying to distract me while I'm driving. If you have a problem with me streaming and driving, and you think I'm going to get distracted by the chat, then maybe you shouldn't write in the chat. But I do encourage you guys to hit the like button. Hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? The Constitution authorizes force against tyranny. Paradigm shift. Yes, in so many words, it does. Right? If the government is supposed to be for the people, by the people. But we have to understand what government is. Government is control. So the government is put in place to control. To govern is to control, to direct, to instruct, right? Well, who should be the government? Because the people in place within government, they're not working on our behalf. They're not working for us, although they should, because they would not be in place if not for us. So what does that mean? We should be governing the people that we put in government. We should be the governors. The people should govern the people that we pay to work for us. But it's the other way around. We pay people to control us. They extract wealth from us and then tell us what we can and cannot do. Send ICE to Dearborn, Michigan. Why would you want to do that? We do govern the government. No, we don't. What do you mean that's what democracy is? You don't govern the government. You vote for people. You vote to put people in place to govern you. What are you talking about? You give up your rights. You transfer power over your own life to your so-called representative. You're transferring power to them. You don't control the fucking government. How do you do that? When have you ever called up any government official and told them what to do? You never done that. You don't govern shit. What? Vote them out. How do you vote them out? No, you have to vote for someone to replace that individual. You're not voting anybody out. You're voting for another controller to take the place of the controller you don't like because you think you're going to like the new person. Vote them out. You never written your congressman? Yeah, I've written my congressman. Ron Ems. You're a dummy. What have you written your congressperson? Did you tell them what to do? Did you give them instructions? Do you give them a schedule to follow? Do you tell them what to do for you every day? No, you don't. You bitch and moan to your congressman in a letter. They don't give a fuck about what you're saying. Ro M's, whatever the fuck you call yourself. You don't control shit. I don't care how many times you write your congressperson. You ain't controlling the motherfucking thing. They control you. Writing them a letter. Okay. Harmonia says, who said Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson are going to be next? Candace Owens said that. Candace Owens has said that she was warned on her show. Her own show, she said she was warned that her and Tucker Carlson are going to be next and they should be careful. What are you talking about? She said that. I haven't heard anything about that from my side. What's your side, Harmonia? It's on Candace Owens' show. You vote for the electoral college representative to vote in the college. That person is not beholden to the vote the way you want him. No, they're not. No one's beholden to your vote at all. 11 Evans, salute to you, bro. Come on, man. Don't be silly now. They don't care because they are about where the money comes from. You just proved my point, Ro M's. You just proved my point. Exactly. You write, you're a congressperson, and they shred. They don't give a fuck about what you writing. They're not beholden to you. What? Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. I gotta relieve myself. Give me a second. But y'all can hit the like button until I come back. That would be nice. All you gotta do is double tap the screen. I's back. Y'all hit the like button or what? Come on, huh? Don't make me start playing music until y'all hit the like button. Hella rude. Stupid garage. Digital currency is already here, Stray Godzilla. Digital currency is already here. You know, we've had digital currency for quite a while, for a few decades, with debit cards and credit cards. Yes. No, because you haven't actually reached the real problem with politics yet. Oh yeah? What's the real problem with politics? The real problem with politics is that we believe in it. That's the problem. The real problem is, good morning to Black Spring with Autumn in the building. Money. Well, you can't have politics without money. You can't have government without money. You can't have government without extraction. You can't have government without extortion. How's the government going to operate? Every time the government does something, they need money for it. They spend money. Every time a worker in a government building goes to take a shit, it costs us money. Why? Because they're flushing the toilet. When you flush the toilet, it uses water. It uses energy. You know, every time the government does something, it costs us money. You can't not have money in politics. Now, if you're talking about the money that comes from the corporations and the bankers and all that, and the lobbyists and the special interest groups, that's also, if you want to change that, you know what it takes? It takes an amendment. You have to amend the Constitution. That pesky amendment process, you got to go through that. Everything that you guys feel we could do to change government, to have government work better for us, it takes a lot. It takes a convention of states. It takes an amendment to the Constitution. Because essentially, y'all want to use the system in place to change the system for the better. If you want to go the route, right? You want to go the legal route. It takes they have safeguards in place to deal with that. They have safeguards. These people are not going to give up their ability to take money from these corporations. See, here's what we did also, right? The Federal Reserve Act of 1913, where we put the banks, private banks, in control of the money system. That's where it really started. And then a year later, you had World War I. Right? See, we allowed the banks to get involved in government to a degree where the banks are amending constitutions. The banks are getting constitutions. The banks are getting laws passed. The banks are getting amendments created within the Constitution. For instance, if you look at how the state government can't tax the federal government, and the federal government cannot tax state government operations, right? So anything that you have to dealing with the government, the state government, and what they do, right? How they operate, whatever they're doing, whether they're dealing with contractors that are doing this and that and the third, there are exemptions in place that prevent the federal government from being taxed by the state and vice versa. And this had to do with court proceedings where a bank was involved. If you go back in the history of amendments within the Constitution, you'll see a lot of it has to do with banks. Because the banks want the government to act on their behalf so that they can get shit that they want done. And they don't want to be dealing with pesky government rules and government laws. They want to be exempt from that. This is a reality, y'all. These bankers and corporations, these banks and corporations and all that, they hijacked the Constitution way long ago. They hijacked it. This is reality. Give us control over a country's money, and I care not who makes its laws. Right? A Rothschild said that. Right? Because the banks got involved in government over a century ago. Because they needed the government to protect their interests. So they got involved with politicians. They got involved. They wheeled and dealed way long ago. They hijacked the Constitution. They hijacked the government. And make no mistake, even before the banks became heavily involved in government, the government itself, the politicians, the president, the governors, and the Congress people, they were already controlling the people anyway. Like, we lost control over our sovereignty and our free will before the banks got involved with government. So, make no mistake, and listen, the banks, to some degree, have always been involved with government. So, this is what we have to understand. The government has never been for the people, by the people. It's been for the banks, by the banks, to control the people. So, more and more, they were able to take, as the years have gone by, since the Constitution was created, since the founding, the banks have gotten more and more involved in government operations. And I know we're going off into other things, but this all comes back to what I've been saying when it comes to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson pointing out government corruption, pointing out how the government does not represent the people, that the people need to take their power power back. This is what they're saying to you guys. How do you take your power back? I've given these solutions many times. People have, listen, there's precedent for all this shit. These things have occurred before. People have done things to take control over their own lives back. Right? Just not on a large scale. Not on a large scale. They have gotten as much as they could back. Control of their lives. They have gotten more sovereignty back. The most they could get. While government is still the supreme ruler of the land. Because you got that pesky eminent domain. That annoying eminent domain, property taxes, right? And then in some states you got laws where you can't disconnect it from the grid. You can't be off grid. You can't collect rainwater. They create these obstacles. They put this shit in place so that you cannot be completely 100% independent or out of their purview, right? But you can live as self-sustainably, as self-sufficient as possible without needing anything from them. But you still have to have some form of connection to the system. There are states where there aren't eminent domain is everywhere. But there are some states where there aren't laws against going off grid. There are states in towns and cities where you don't have laws against collecting rainwater and all this other shit. And having your own water source. There are states like that. There are things that you can do to remove yourself from the system as much as you can until you get to a place where once enough people wake up and realize what needs to be done, you'll be in a great position. You'll be in a great position. From that point, it's just about defending your sovereignty, defending your land, because obviously, right, once the illusion of government protection and government safety is gone, there will be more danger. There will be more danger. There will be more uncomfortability. Because certain systems will be removed that you felt like you needed the government to rely on. So it's going to take a minute to adjust and to realize, look, we really don't need government for this. We have people with the skills and knowledge. We have engineers and construction workers, and we have veterans that know how to that can provide security. We have people that can come together, bring their skill sets together, and run a successful community with no government at all, or minimal government, or a structure where everybody has equal say over how they get to live their lives. This can be accomplished, right? You just have to come to the realization that the middleman is not necessary. The middleman has gotten too big for their britches, and they think that they can just do what they want, control you, and you don't get to say shit about it. No, once you come to the realization that the government does not create, the government does not innovate, the government does none of that. People do that. People can organize, people can come together, people can work together in harmony, right? Without government. And those that can't work in harmony with other individuals, well, they do their own thing, right? I don't need everybody to agree with me to be successful. And guess what? Freedom from government tyranny does not guarantee success. It does not guarantee success. Freedom from government, when you break the shackles, when you remove the chains, it doesn't mean that you're gonna, I'm living in harmony. It's paradise now. It's unicorns and rainbows floating around this motherfucker. No, that's not the reality. right? You're only truly free when you're alone. Well, that's not necessarily true. You can be truly free and exist within a community with other people that recognize that you're free, that recognize that they're free, and they don't have the authority, they don't have the right to control you, and you don't have the right to control them. You can exist in harmony together, right? You can be free, and because human beings are naturally social, right? Like certain other animals, they are naturally social, and like lions live in prides. Certain cattle, like certain ruminant animals, certain like deer and prey animals, they exist in herds, right? So it's just natural. But they're free. They just work in harmony together. It's just instinctual, right? But the reality is, like, they have to work together, because otherwise they'd be vulnerable. A single deer or a single moose. Well, moose really don't move about. What can I, like a wildebeest? Wildebeest have to move in the herds and work together. You know what I'm saying? Because they're prey, right? They're prey animals. So the larger the group of wildebeest that move together, the more likely they are to survive. If a wildebeest ends up breaking from the herd and ends up being alone, right? Or if they're too far from the herd because they got lost, or you got distracted, well, guess what? They're going to get attacked. So the reality is that human beings are social creatures by nature. They're not large groups, right? They don't necessarily, not hundreds of thousands in nature, right? But once the human brain started to evolve, and they started to create language and cultures and customs, and they started to build shelters and, all these different things, yes, they were able to exist in larger numbers together. And the larger the group of people that exist together, the more you have individuals that will want to rise up and take control and have power over the others. So in my mind, the smaller the group, the better, but not necessarily alone. Someone says, do a backflip. No, I'm good. Turbo Crisis, language is just a way to communication, telepathic triggers to one another. Well, yeah. Yes. But I mean, it shows how the human brain evolved, how we evolved to have these understandings, to be self-aware. Most animals are not self-aware. And if they are self-aware, I mean, they are born with the way that certain animals communicate with each other. They're born with this. They don't form words, but they understand the sounds and the inflections, and they understand when one animal is calling out for danger and oh, here comes a predator, or look out. They know by listening to the sound instinctually. Light-skinned Kirk Franklin. Sure, why not? Sure. Realize said, oh. Yeah, Marcia T said stop spamming. It's a good idea to stop spamming, y'all. The bottom line is, man, Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson may very well be in danger, and they could have been in danger for quite a while, for as long as they have been speaking out against Israel. Freedom aren't always the best thing for us. It might be the most enjoyable. No, freedom is the best thing for people. It is. Self-governance, sovereignty of self, that's the best thing for people, because when you rely on other people or other entities or other groups of people to dictate your life, right? Because the few people in Washington that supposedly represent over 350 million people, they make decisions and choices every day on your behalf that don't work for you. It goes against you. It goes against your well-being. Right? You don't have a choice. You don't get to decide what's best for you. You get to decide the mundane things, the day-to-day things that you do. But you only do certain things within the confines of, government, right? What they dictate to you. You have certain restrictions. There's certain things you can't do freely because of government. And it works against your best interest. Pablo Reyna says, no, freedom is the best. And yes, it is enjoyable. Yes. Right? But it comes with the recognition. It has to come with the recognition that it's dangerous, right? The world is dangerous, and living freely without the protection of government, well, it opens your eyes to how dangerous the world really is. And that's okay. You should know. Bolo Dean says you won't like everything that's best for you. No, you don't have to. That's not the point. The point of freedom is not to enjoy everything, right? You recognize that you are ultimately responsible for your own life. And with that, you deserve to control whatever you do within your life that the environment allows. You get what I'm saying? Like, you have the capability to do whatever you choose to do within the environment that you can do, right? You can't do everything you want to do. Like, you can't just jump off a building and start flying across the sky. You can't phase and walk through walls. No, you can't do that. But guess what? You can climb down and you can walk through a door whenever you choose. You have to work with what's available to you. But with the government in place, you're greatly limited to what you can do, right? If you want to go camping in a national park, you got to get a permit. You got to get a permission slip. And if you want to enjoy the wood, let's say you want to spend the rest of your life living in the mountains by a lake. You can't just go out there and build a house. No, you got to get a permission slip. You got to get multiple permission slips. You got to pay the government to allow you to build there. Then they got to do inspections and all these different things, right? All these infringements, all these impedances on your freedoms, right? And that's a problem. Someone says, why are you yapping? Why are you listening? Bye. Arrivederci. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Why are you listening to me yapping? That's the question. Living in society demands certain commitments. Well, how large should that society be? Right? Because not every community or every society has the same demands, but you have one huge government determining what those needs are and what those demands should be. Yes, Tucker Carlson does influence some young voters, and that's what they need. They need people, right, to rely on government. They need people to believe that Israel, whatever Israel wants you to believe. We know by now, right? They're the chosen people. They deserve the land, and they got this greater Israel agenda. They don't want nothing getting in the way of that. But we know, the youth knows, that we support Israel financially. We support them morally. We support them in every way possible. And if we have a problem with what Israel is doing, and we voice that, and we start rebelling and resisting and all these different things, and this is going to create problems for the government. And it's going to create problems for Israel. They can't have that. Robotic Gorilla Sue says, yeah, if I'm camping in a national park, I want camping passes to be issued. Why? Camping pass? What does that mean? You are paying to get a permission slip to enjoy nature. You understand that, right? Someone says bum. Okay. The ones who scream fascist don't even know what the definition of the word is. Let that sink in. Well, no, most people don't. Most people don't know that our government is fascist. Government in itself has no choice but to be fascist. It doesn't matter what type of government it is. Charlie had a problem with Israel behind the scenes. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. Candace Owens spoke out about that. Tucker Carlson went on his show to criticize Israel. Candace Owens has been criticizing Israel. Now they take out Charlie Kirk. It's a clear message. Yeah, y'all can be next. The key is to keep going. If Candace Owens is really about that life, she's not going to let that discourage her. And neither is Tucker Carlson. But we have to remember, again, that they are statist and they do believe in government. They do believe that the voting process and all these things can make the government better. That's the problem. Anyway. Because I got family and I don't need it filled up with homeless or overfilled campers. That is ridiculous. You don't want it filled up with homeless? So, in your mind, if people didn't have to get a permission slip to go camping and to build shelter and live in the woods, your concern is going to be filled up with homeless people. The woods. That's your concern. Because, so what? So what if a homeless person wants to go and live in the woods? He ain't bothering nobody. When you go camping, by the way, you basically paying a lot of money to live like a homeless person. So you're essentially homeless when you're going camping. You're just paying to be homeless in nature. So what if a homeless person goes into the woods, lives by a lake, and they can hunt and fish and provide for themselves? So what? If they chose to do that. You want to keep people out your precious woods so that you can go out there once or twice a year and spend a few days and not be bothered. That's what you want? Absolutely ridiculous. All the races have to unite against those who stand against God. All the people needs to unite and stand and take a stand against those who go against the people. Yes, and God will love that. I believe. The Creator, this is what he wants for us. Because we got evil people running government right now that are creating problems for everybody. God doesn't need us to do anything on his behalf. God is all powerful, right? God can smite anybody that truly goes against him. No. God wants us to work on our own behalf and break the chains that the evil slave owners are giving to us, that have given to us. God doesn't need us to do anything for him. The all-powerful, mighty God that created the entire universe. Why, what? No, the government is not doing anything against God. The government is doing shit against humanity and people. God does not need us to do anything for him. No, that's not the point. The point is to do for yourself and take ultimate control over yourself and not allow other people to control you and do evil and commit evil acts. in your name. That's what we need. Anyway, y'all, I got to get out of here. Like I would know it. Sure. Be the change you want to see in the world. Exactly, human. It's time for the FBAs to do what they have to do. Absolutely. Yes, it is time for the foundational Black Americans to do. It's time for everybody to do what they got to do. Period. But then when you do it, just mind your own goddamn business and stop trying to fuck with people. All you got to do is mind your own business and leave people alone that don't want to be bothered. Why can't people do that? Because in nature, you have that. The yin and the yang. But it's up to the people that don't want to be bothered to be willing to stand and defend their privacy, their property, and their persons. Because there will always be somebody trying to fuck with you. You just gotta be empowered and have the capability to deal with those individuals. Because they'll always be there, whether government is involved or not. You'll always have criminals, you always have grapers and murderers and robbers and stealers and people that will try to take advantage of you. You just got to be able to deal with them. Anyway, y'all, thank you guys for coming through. Please hit the like button on the way out, man, and thank you for hitting the like button when you came in. I appreciate you guys. I got to run. I got a doctor's appointment to get to, but I will holler at y'all later. I will be talking about Candace Owens dropped an update about the round that didn't kill Charlie Kirk. But what she says is extremely confusing based on what she's reporting. It doesn't make any sense to me, but what does make sense is what she said didn't kill Charlie Kirk. So we're going to get into that. Because it's very important to understand the information that's coming out. And I can tell you guys right now, we're probably never going to really know 100% without doubt who killed Charlie Kirk. And at this point, it really doesn't matter because at least we do know that who they're saying killed Charlie Kirk probably isn't the guy. And that means a huge conspiracy that it's a huge conspiracy that it should be very concerning to every taxpayer in the country and in the world. There should be an awakening like none you have ever seen based on this debacle. I don't know how they fumbled the bag so bad. The government just really fucked this up, right? The FBI fucked it up. I mean, they were not even good at this cover up, and it's kind of crazy because they have the technology and they have, the propagandists to whatever. They fumbled the shit, and so this is going to go a long way, hopefully, to waking more people up to what we really need to do to rid ourselves of the evil controllers. Anyway, I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't done so, and we're gonna get on this, man. Because every day we're gonna keep marching forward toward freedom and truth. And I'm gonna keep telling y'all about it. And I'm gonna use every opportunity to remind you guys that we don't need government. Government needs us. And yeah, that's just the bottom line to it. All right, holla at y'all later. Peace out.